Hello everyone and welcome to worship at Warwick Anglican Parish. Today this is the sermon for Sunday the 18th of October, which is also St Luke's Day. Today, however, we're going to go with the following readings. So Exodus 33, 12 to 33 will be our main passage. Psalm 99 and Matthew 22, 15 to 33. In the name of God, Father, Son and Holy Spirit, Amen. There's a collection of children's books entitled Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events. The stories chronicle the misfortunes of three siblings, Violet, Klaus and Sonny Baudelaire, after their beloved parents die in a mysterious house fire. What follows for the children is something of an exodus, a journey out of and away from all that has been familiar, into unknown territory. Their story, often in the hands of adults who vary from capable and well-intentioned to incompetent, stupid, or selfish and cruel. Among the more eccentric of the characters in a fairly eccentric set of books is Aunt Josephine, the second of the guardians who is appointed to look after the children. And here she is being played by Meryl Streep in a movie version of the book. A little like the people of Israel today, Aunt Josephine is a character for whom life has gotten too much. She has been robbed of her courage. She mourns the loss of a beloved husband who meets his unfortunate and dreadful end swimming carelessly among voracious and very large leeches. She doesn't have faith in a great deal and fears just about everything, living in a house that teeters improbably on the side of a cliff. She contemplates all the things that terrify her most: storms, electricity, doorknobs breaking, fridges falling, leeches, and most of all, real estate agents. Aunt Josephine is a caricature and, unsurprisingly, not a terribly good guardian for the children, but she does capture something of a truth within human nature. There are times when life presents us with circumstances that can overwhelm us or rob us of our courage, and when, bereft of hope, having lost a sense of life's promise in the midst of all its struggles, we can cast about, looking for all kinds of ways to ensure our safety, or at least that we stay within what is known. This is the story of Exodus as well. The Israelites leave Egypt, and for a time there are signs and wonders, the parting of the sea, pillars of cloud and fire. But the great drama of Exodus is not chiefly found in these extraordinary manifestations, but in the ongoing struggle to survive. A lack of water, a lack of food, the occasional skirmish with local tribal groups, and this constant looking backwards, a yearning for the memory of a life in Egypt when things were easier. Moses and the people also wrestle with important questions of identity, faith and leadership. Rules are formulated to offer shape and safety to the wanderers. And then in Exodus 32, chapter immediately before this one, Moses' prolonged absence up on the holy mountain creates unrest and insecurity, and the people are agitated, and they demand of Aaron that he make them a God who will lead and protect us. A God who will lead and protect. This is a people struggling to have faith. Their courage is failing them, clinging to the very edges of life in the wilderness, like that rickety house on the side of a cliff. They feel alone. They are vulnerable, even if they are free. Aaron's response is to make them an idol, the golden calf, who of course can't see them, can't hear them, let alone lead or protect. So Moses comes down the mountain, and this is the mess that greets him. He is incandescent with rage. Aaron is quick to sidestep his responsibilities, and God says at one point in the chapter, I will wipe out of my book the name of everyone who has sinned against me. It's all gone horribly wrong. The dialogue that then follows in Exodus 33 is interesting. Moses has a conversation with God. He must wonder if he has done enough, if he has failed God, failed his people, whose immense need makes them a pretty demanding crowd. He wants to know if God sees him, if God sees his people. And interestingly, if this leadership gig is something he's going to have to do alone. He reminds God of the Exodus 3, the burning bush encounter, and that God knows him and calls him by name and has appointed him to the task of leadership. And then he says, if you are pleased with me, teach me your ways so that I may know you and continue to find favour with you. Remember that this nation is your people. To which God replies, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. It's quite a startling contrast with the chapter before. Then Moses says to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth? In other words, if you're not with us, then let us stay put. No more adventures or misadventures into unfamiliar and frightening places. Moses requests to see God's glory, the ultimate promise that he isn't barking up the wrong tree or burning bush, to which God makes an assurance and then an extraordinary offer of proof. God arranges to pass close to Moses. He won't see God's face, but he will be hidden in the cleft of a rock, and God's glory will illuminate him. And so it comes to pass. And this is enough to refresh Moses' sense of who he is and where he is heading, enough to sustain his leadership of his people, God's people. Moses, like many of those he leads, never enters the promised land. Like Martin Luther King Jr., millennia later, he sees the dawning reality from a mountaintop, and he knows that he has done his part to get his people there. For both these men, their hope was not just for themselves. Their capacity for love, compassion, forgiveness, and faith was tested, but it endured. It's fair to say that there are times in life where we too might feel overwhelmed, or as if we don't have the courage for the life that God is calling us to inhabit. We wander in wildernesses of our own making, or of the making of others, and we might well lose a sense of promise and be stripped of a kind of hope. Life can leave us clinging to the edges, not so different from Aunt Josephine, or indeed the children of God in the wilderness of the Sinai desert. Yet the Bible readings today remind us that God is not answerable to us. God is so much greater than we are. That God's ways are not those of an overgrown Caesar, but that God is all the same present with us, his ways unfolding beyond death and into new life. A few weeks ago, I read a collection of sermons by Bishop Tom Wright. He'd written them and preached them over Holy Week in 2007 while he was spending time in a town called Easington Colliery in County Durham. Easington Colliery was once a busy coal mining town which had known industry and prosperity along with great tragedy. But now it was clinging to the edges of its former life, afraid, despairing, unsure what the future would hold, unsure if it had anything but more pain, more questions, and more dead ends to offer. He offered this poem, which is written by T.S. Eliot, and this spoke to me of the many situations in life where we too might know the feeling of personal exodus and of the need to wait patiently, faithfully, with as much courage as our poor hearts might be able to muster, as God's presence illuminates that which is hidden and breathes hope for the right thing among us. I said to my soul, "Be still and wait without hope, for hope would be hope for the wrong thing. Wait without love, for love would be love of the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the faith and the love and the hope are all in the waiting. Wait without thought, for you are not ready for thought. So the darkness shall be the light, and the stillness the dancing." So the darkness shall be the light, and the stillness the dancing.